been a while since I've been in front of you. I figure I'll just stick to the cards this time. There's been speculation that I was involved in events that occurred on the freeway and the rooftop. I'm sorry, Mr. Stark, do you honestly expect us to believe that was a bodyguard in a suit that conveniently turned up despite you? It's one thing to question the official story, it's another thing entirely to make wild accusations and insinuate that I'm a superhero. I never said you were a superhero. Didn't? Well, good, because that would be outlandish and fantastic. Look, I'm just not the hero type with my laundry list of character defects, all the mistakes I've made, largely public. The truth is, I am Iron Stan. Weapons and stuff. So those are the three things we need to cover. Like, subscribe, and bell icon, obviously. The first survival moment we're going to go over is right at the beginning when the convoy that Tony is in with the army is ambushed and everyone gets wiped out apart from Tony. So he's in this convoy, gets bombed, Tony gets out, hides behind a rock, gets exploded by a missile with Stark Industries written on it, and then is captured. So my plan of action here is when the army guy says stay in the truck, I stay in the truck. Basically, I don't get out, I don't try and run, I don't run about in the firefights or near the missiles. Sure, the truck isn't necessarily the safest place, but I do think staying in the truck is the best option here. They kidnap Tony because he's valuable. I probably don't have the same value as Tony Stark, and by probably I mean definitely. So I'm going to give myself a chance of survival here of about 25%, just in case they do want to have a hostage for any reason. They don't seem against that sort of thing. Now moving swiftly on to survival moment number 2. So Tony's captured but has some surgery done on him by Yinsen, another hostage, and has a car battery to stop shrapnel getting towards his heart. Then he is tortured and forced to help build the Jericho missile that he displayed for the American army earlier on. Yinsen and him do this and sort of build a full prototype Iron Man suit in the hopes of escaping. So the plan of action here is hope that Yinsen can do all of this work by himself and also try not to catch an infection from the surgery. The issue with the infection is even if I do get some antibiotics, I am allergic to penicillin, so I'd probably die from that. Also, this cave doesn't look like the cleanest place, so I'll probably die from that as well. And then if I'm tinkering around with missiles and trying to sort that sort of stuff out, I'll probably explode that. And then, to be honest, like a car battery, carrying that around doesn't seem great, and I'm not a massive fan of torture. So overall on this one, massive drop down from the first one, and the first one was only 25%, remember. I'm going to give myself 4%, just on the off chance that I can stay under the radar and not worry the terrorists too much. Now on to survival moment number 3. Now this one's a little bit more fun for me. So the scenario is Tony has this prototype Iron Man suit that he cruises through the cave in, well, more stomps through the cave in, and uses all his litany of weapons, flamethrower, rocket, things like that, to take out the people, sets all the fuel on fire outside of the cave, and then flies into the distance, and it kind of explodes and sends him into the sand. Then he gets up and sort of wanders off. So, plan of action here. By the rules set out by me in the first video, and check out the channel introduction, I do get the items that the character has. So, this means I get the Iron Man suit, and I think I could pilot it. It doesn't look too complex. Sure, I'm probably not going to do as good a job as Tony, but when you're encased in armour with missiles and flamethrowers and stuff, and the opportunity to smash people across a room, I don't think that matters too much. So I think in this scenario I would do quite well. The flying bit is going to be an issue, but he also explodes and he lands and survives, so I'm going to give myself that. So I'm going to put myself at a 65% chance of survival here. Might be a little high, but I mean, I'm in a Iron Man suit. I am Iron Stan. I am Iron Stan. Survival moment number 4. Now, Tony has built most of the Iron Man suit and he's got the repulsors and he's testing it out. He's like doing little bubbles and flying and things like that. And then he takes it out for an impromptu flight where he soars up into the atmosphere and realizes that at high altitudes he freezes. As he falls, he manages to deploy the flaps. But when he's it's still a sticky situation. Eventually, he does manage to get the Iron Man suit back online and sort of flies and lands, crashes through the ground. So the plan of action here is, if I've got the Iron Man suit, which I do, it's allowed in the rules. Don't get at me. It's allowed in the rules. So I've got the Iron Man suit. I do loads of more testing. I don't take it out for a flight for about 8 months. I probably go about 4 foot off the floor in the first 2 weeks and sort of test it out like that. So realistically, I think I'm not too bad on it. I'm not as impatient as Tony Stark. I'm not as impulsive. So with that in mind, I'm going to give myself a survival chance of 35%. Because it's still a dangerous piece of equipment. There's a lot of stuff around, and to be honest, the likelihood is that I repulse the ground too hard and I fly up into the roof and like crack my head open or something. So it's not as simple as I'm making out. So 35% there. So survival moment number 5. This one is cheating a little bit. So Tony finds out that the people who captured him have actually still running amok. Where he was captured, still causing terror. So he flies in, lands, uses his targeting system to wipe out people, punches them across the room, takes out a tank by deflecting the shell, and then has a little run-in with the US Air Force, but doesn't really figure into it too much. He does take down a plane, but it doesn't do any damage to him. So my plan of action here, basically exactly the same, but a little sloppier, basically. I've literally just given myself this one because I thought, it'd be cool to say that I could jump into a group of about 30 terrorists and take them all down with a targeting system. So my chance of survival here, I'm going to give myself 90%, which is ridiculously high, but also I am encased in armour with loads of weapons attached to me and I'm bulletproof. So yeah, that's why. Survival moment number 6. So number 6 is Obadiah Stane comes out and paralyzes Tony and takes out his arc reactor, causing Tony to have to crawl to his lab and pick up his old one that he gave to Pepper Potts, who then made it into a little witty, funny gift for Tony. So the plan of action in this one, not really much you can do. You're temporarily paralysed, but Tony manages to drag himself, so I guess I kind of could. My main issue here is that he required Pepper to help him put in the arc reactor, and he had Yinsen the other time. So when he gets there, I feel like it's going to be difficult to put it in yourself, right? So I don't think I'm going to be able to do that. The one thing I would say, and why this maybe isn't necessarily a survival issue, is because Yinsen says earlier in the film that it takes about a week for the shrapnel to get to your heart. So maybe the way that Tony looks in this one is just down to his temporary paralysis and not actually due to the arc reactor not being there, because the arc reactor, as far as I'm aware, is not pumping his heart. It's not doing anything apart from keeping shrapnel from his heart, which takes a while to get to his heart. So because I'm not entirely sure on that, and because I'm not a surgeon, I'm going to give myself a 50% chance, just because I think I'd be alright, but who knows. Okay, now we come on to the final survival moment number 7. So this is the fight between Tony in his Iron Man suit with low battery against Obadiah Stane in his huge hulking Iron Man suit. Stane's made a few amendments. Tony's not in a great position. They fight on the freeway, take out some cars, do some damage to a bus, things like that. And then Tony comes up with a great idea to fly to altitude and do the freezing thing, because he knows from previous experience that this might be an issue for Stane's suit. Now, he's correct, and Stane falls down. Tony lands with hardly any power, and then there's still another fight. Tony manages to rip out some of Stane's targeting wires, so that's good. And then he's in a tough position, but Stain can't hit him. And then Pepper hits a button, overloads the arc reactor, takes out Stain, and Tony survives. So my plan of action with this one is to, first of all, try not to cack my pants, because I probably would. If any of you have read the Stormlight archives, we all know it's perfectly fine to have a little poop in your suit, like if it's a shard plate or Iron Man suit, not if it's a tailored suit. Then Stain's gonna knock me about. I'm at low power. I think I wouldn't come up with the altitude thing, because as we know, I didn't do that because I'm not as impulsive as Tony. Then I think just stay out of his reach, and then hopefully he's got some wires dangling about that you can rip out, which we see he does. He has the targeting system. And if Pepper's able to help me in overloading an arc reactor, I probably wouldn't be there, but that's useful. So on this one, just because the Iron Man suit's a little bit more nimble, and Stain does seem to have, for some reason, left things like his targeting system out in the open, I'm going to give myself a 10% chance here. Okay, so that's all of Iron Man, and the average score, drum roll, is 40%, so 40% likely to survive the Iron Man movie. And if you've watched my video earlier in the week, you'll see that I thought Iron Man was going to be one of the easier survival movies, so either it isn't or the rest of them are going to be a lot more difficult. So next week we are going to cover Saw 2, carry on with the Saw series as we did last week. You may have noticed that this one's a little bit faster than the first Saw one, because I thought 30 minutes is way too long for me to be talking and recording and stuff like that. And also, it's just too long for you guys to watch. You probably don't want to spend 30 minutes. That's like a full TV show. But as always, thanks very much for watching. Like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon. And stay shit.